Hi, welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hi, and welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we focus on a word of the day and give some tips on how to utilize that word to help change your life for the better. To kick it off today, our word is arch, which we'll get into in just a moment. I have been looking forward to this interview for a very, very long time. Today, our guest is one of my favorite fitness mentors, the First Lady of Physical Fitness. She's a motivational speaker, television personality, health and fitness expert, and the wife of the late, great Mr. Fitness himself, the one and only Elaine LaLanne.
Oh my goodness. What an introduction.
Well, Lala, you are truly one of the greatest, most wonderful, inspirational people I have ever had the honor of knowing. So
Only because I've lived so long, honey.
well,
You learn a lot when you live so long at 94.
oh my goodness. Well, on this note, because I am so excited, and I asked you if you had a word that meant something to you, and you right away said arch. So let's get into it, and we'll talk about your word of the day. What does it mean to you, and can you explain to our listeners what this word is, or acronym, I should say?
How this word came about, actually. Maria Shriver wrote me, and she said, asked me, you've lived all these years, and she said, what has inspired you? And then I said, she just give me 3 words. So I came up with ARC. I came up with, I didn't even think about ARC. I mean, that didn't even enter my mind. I came up with attitude, resistance, and consistency, those 3 words. Mm-hmm. And then John, my younger son, came in and he said, and I was fooling around with it, and he said, Mom, that's your arc in life. And then I was thinking one day, we were going to write a book on harmony. So I said, I'm going to add H to that. So that became my arch of life. Wow. And so that's how it all happened. That one word happened. And then you come along and say, I want to do a podcast with 1 word. I said, I got the word.
Yeah, I love it. And it's amazing because arch by definition is a supported structure. So clearly, yes, there's a double meaning there.
That's right. It has a lot of meaning. And the more I thought about it, the more meaning it has. And so shall we start with A, attitude?
Yes.
So attitude, well, you can be positive or you can be negative. And so you are what you think, aren't you? In other words, you actually are what you think. And have you been around people who say, I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. And they're all so negative. And then it's so simple to actually change from negative to positive. If you change your attitude, you can change your life.
Yes.
And so that's why I came up with attitude, because the only thing constant about life is change. And so you can change from you can change your attitude. So that's how I got into that.
I love that attitude. And so for anyone listening right now, think about that. Elaine LaLanne, Lala, just told us something so profound yet so simple, that change is the one constant we all have every day. And you can change from negative to positive, right?
That's right. So easy. And if you've been around negative people, you don't want to talk, you don't want to go along with them because you're positive and they're negative. So anyway, so now, let's go into R. Let's go into resistance. Okay. So now I want you to put your hand on your shoulder. Everybody that's
Everybody,
watching,
hand on your shoulder.
okay, everybody's put your hand on your shoulder. Okay, now put it out. Just nice, easy does it. Okay. Now see your now you have it. I'm gonna take this off. Okay.
Woo!
We're
She's
gonna
taking her
see what
jacket off.
see what happens. Okay, so I'm going like this. Okay. So now squeeze your hand. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Look at your muscle.
Yes.
Look at my muscle.
Look at
There
your
you go.
muscle.
What
Show
does
your
that
back as
mean?
I do.
That means that's resistance. Resistance is the key to getting the job done, to exercise. You can go, I've been to people that then they do the exercise this way and that way. And when you think into the exercise and you actually put stress on what you're doing, that's why weight training is so great, because it has that it has that resistance, and that's what it's all about. And then like the resistance bands today, well, everybody's all, oh boy, the resistance bands are great. Well, you know what, if you can see back there, way back there, that's our glamour stretcher.
Oh,
that
yes.
was born in 1950s, early 1950s. And a lot of people think, oh, this is brand new. It's not brand new. It came out of Jack's head. So did the instant breakfast. All that protein. Nobody was drinking protein. We were crazy people that doing stuff like this. So anyway, so that's your resistance. But there's another part to this resistance. The resisting the foods that are undermining your health.
Ooh.
In other words, that gooey, chocolate cake. It's not what you do some of the time that counts. It's what you do most of the time that counts. Now, when I met Jack, I was eating bear claws and chocolate donuts. I was on television. I had an hour and a half show that I was on, and this was in the early 50s, 1948. I started. Okay, so Jack came over one day and he said, "You should be eating apples and bananas and oranges. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't tell you this." Before we were ever dated or anything. I blew smoke in his face. Said, "Oh yeah," but there was one thing he did. He brought a man over with a very big corporation out to here. Took 30 pounds off of him in 30 days. He talked about smoking, how you have pink lungs, black lungs, and holy lungs. I quit right then and there. Didn't want black. I was 27 years old and I didn't want to have black lungs or holy lungs.
Right.
And so I started broiling everything I used to fry. So resisting the foods that are undermining your health.
Wow.
And there you go again. Change.
Mm-hmm.
Change does it. And it's so simple.
Right.
Okay, so now we go into C for consistency. We have to be consistent about doing this. In other words, it's not going to do the job if you are a little, whammy-pammy about it. If you don't do it consistently, then what good is it?
Right.
So it's very important to be consistent about your exercise and consistent about your eating habits. And you don't have to be perfect. A lot of people think, oh, I gotta be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent and do it the best you can and do everything in moderation.
Right. Well, one thing you've always taught me in all the years I've known you is, and one of my favorite quotes, and you already said it, is, it's not what you do some of the time, it's what you do most of the time. I live every day, I think about that because I indulge in wine. I like to have cookies. And so
I have a glass of wine.
Yeah. And so, but I always think you in the back of my mind going, okay, but what's the consistency? Am I doing this more often, or is this just something that's sprinkled in? And so I think for those kind of treats, as we want to call it, or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it, it's
right. And the things that when I was really good until I was 80 years old. So I said to Jack one time, I said, Jack, I'm 80 years old, and if I want a piece of cake or if I want a little ice cream, I'm going to have it. And you know what he said? It's not what you do some of the time that counts. It's what you do most of the time that counts. And and he never told anybody what to do. If you asked him a question, he'd go on, and people used to come over the table, and then all of a sudden I'd be sitting by myself, and he'd be over at somebody else's table, saving them, you know. But it 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 does make a difference. But I don't overindulge. I don't eat. I just don't. I do everything in moderation. Therefore, I get along. So, and that's what everybody should do. A lot of people, oh, I can't have this. I'm gonna, they think they're gonna die right away. It's not. It's just being smart about the whole thing. Too many people make it complicated. So let's not make it too complicated. Jack wanted to have things that are simple. Simple. Let's make this simple, a simple exercise, but we'll get the job done. But we're not going to make it, so complicated you don't understand it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we got H, and that I added H because if you have all these things, if you have all this, you have harmony in your life. And what we need today is harmony with everybody. Everybody needs harmony today. And we're making everything talk about complicated. Yeah. We don't have to make it that complicated. We're all human beings, and we all want harmony, and we all want we want to be consistent about our thinking and our, no matter what you are. But so it's important to try to understand everybody and try to have harmony in your life, and you'll be a lot happier.
Absolutely. That'll go back to the positivity as well. So with that all being said, and you did just bring up harmony, which I love how your word is arch, and it creates this beautiful structure and bridge, that combines so many elements together. And really they are simple. They're nothing complicated. It's really just right. Just being, but that's why you've always been such a big mentor to me, is because that's how I want to live my life, where I feel it's very easy in our world today to overcomplicate things, to overanalyze, to make it, things more challenging than they really need to be. And at the end of the day, here you are, almost 95 years old, correct?
That's right.
Right.
I'm closer to 95 than 94.
Right. And you have lived through so many things. So as we're talking about harmony, and as we're talking about your word of the day, what do you feel like during these times, like this year, just in general? Do you have any tips of what you can share with people of how to potentially live more of the arch and have that kind of harmony? Because it can be so easy right now with the anxiety people are having or what's going on. But you lived through the Great Depression. Like, you've been through some big.
Oh yes, I went through World War II, the Great Depression. In there we made our toys. We didn't have toys like they have today. We had to make. Oh, Mom, can I have a spool of when you're through with a spool of thread? Can we have some of those to make a car with? So things are like that, and that we had lots of we had rubber, what we call rubber guns, and we'd have then cut up an old tire, inner tire, because in those days they had inner tubes, and then we'd patch them up and then go and float around them in the water in the lake,
Wow.
So, but I've lived through all of that, but what you have to do in life, you have to persevere. And sometimes you just feel like giving up. I know that everybody watching today has gone through that. I mean, you have a big, I lost my daughter when she was 21 in an automobile accident. So, but, do I go down the tubes because she went down the tubes? I can't. So, and she would never want me to feel that way because she was very positive. She was a very positive girl. So, and so then I said, I can't let her, if she's looking at me, I can't have her see me cry. But anyway, the point is, you have to persevere in life. You have to keep going no matter what happens. And, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and he never put them back together again. And the milk bottle, I used to have these signs all over my kitchen, spilt milk is something, whatever, but if the bottle of milk goes on the floor, you can't put the milk back in, or the carton. So you cannot go back. You only can go forward, but you only can live in today. Yesterday is this is what he's once I've heard it 1,000 times. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't here yet. So you and I, this is the most important time of our life right now. So, because we can't live in any other part of it, because we're all living in it now. So perseverance is it. And then when you're going into an exercise program, it's very important to make haste slowly. So if you're going to read my book.
Yes, that was what we were getting into. I love it.
A little intro here. Perfect. If you want to live, move. Putting the boom back into boomers. 8 minutes a day gets you on your way. You start out slowly. We don't ask you to be perfect. So I did that with Jaime Brinkus, who does the 8-minute workouts in the late 90s. But anyway, it's on Amazon.
Yeah. So for anyone that's watching and listening, I will be putting links so you can order there's so many great books that Lala, you have another one on the way, right? Yeah. And then
Ep01.com. Ep01.com. You just go to Ep01.com or go into Amazon, you'll see everything. So I do want to say something. Do we have another minute or so?
Oh, you could have as many minutes as you want. You're the goddess that I've been waiting to talk to for a long time. So go for it.
But this is one way to, all of this is one way to contribute to your longevity. If you want to live, contribute to your longevity, and all these are ways of doing it.
Right.
And so that's remember, you are your attitude, and your mind is a mine. It's like a diamond mine.
Right.
Because everything, Jack always said, everything starts in your mind. What moves your fingers? What moves your toes? What moves you?
Right.
Your mind. And so that's why it's so important to think about your attitude.
Right. And now, Lala, I remember when I first contacted you many years ago, and I was able to set up, and we did it. Remember, it was like a pen and paper interview, and I wrote a story about you. And I think I don't even know if I was still in college then, but I remember this interview, and I remember I was actually surprised myself to know that you were the person who really kind of fired up Jack's career in terms of he came onto your show, right? Didn't he come on your show and do push-ups for some crazy number?
Yes. Yes. I was on an hour and a half show every day from 4:30. In those days, television started at 6 o'clock at night. And then I did a commercial, and then it started at 4:30 in the afternoon. And then this fellow heard me, I was demonstrating 45 records. And so he heard me say, he was a very famous disc jockey in San Francisco and starting a television show. And So he heard me say to this person, I'm selling this record player, and he said, "Can I get Bing Crosby?" And I said, "No, but you can get Perry Como, and he sounds just like him." And anyway, he asked me to come over and talk to him, and he said, "Do you think you could have a show ready by Tuesday?" I had no idea what I was doing. I said, "Yes." I had no idea what. I mean, here I am going to program and be on an hour and a half television show with the 12-piece orchestra, and I'm going to book the show. So he says, "Well, go over and see Bill Blake at the theater." And in those days, like Joan Crawford would come and talk about a movie, or all these big movie stars would come. I've had J.C. Penney on. I've had Liberace. I've been in all those early days, So he said, "Well, contact him." So I contacted him, and then I got "Oh, well, I guess we have somebody we could send over," and then call the Kern and Geary in San Francisco, and whatever his name was over there, and I called him, and he said, "Oh yeah, we'll send over, these people." And so I had an hour and a half show, right, just like that. So and from that was the beginning of my career.
And I think that's something that so many people don't even realize about you is that, I mean, Lala, you have paved the way for so many, especially I have to say women like myself, to be an entrepreneur. And, you have children and still manage to do this. And
I never listened to anybody that put me down. I mean, who put me in a category of I'm a woman. I can't do this. When I'm told that I can't do that, I can do it. So, and that's how I met Jack. And see, I got this call from Oakland, California. We got this guy who can do push-ups through your whole show. Oh, yeah, that's great. So that's when he came over and did he did push-ups for 90 minutes.
90
and we
straight
over to 90 minutes. So,
and you didn't fall in love with him right then and there.
See, Jack trained for not only muscular, but he trained for endurance and strength, and a symmetrical body. He trained for this. Is the body's supposed to be like this.
Right.
So that's what he trained for, and he had tremendous endurance. And that's how he did all his swims, swam from Alcatraz to the mainland, handcuffed and shackled and towing a 1,000-pound boat. Towed 70 people and 70 boats on Long Beach Harbor when he was 70. And
70, wow.
You look him up. Everybody look at him. People have never heard Jack. Look him up, LaLanne, and you'll see all of the stuff he's done.
Yeah, for anyone listening right now, for anyone watching right now, please do yourself a favor. For extra motivation after this, go to JackLaLanne.com, Google Jack LaLanne, Google Elaine LaLanne, read about them, and you will be continuously inspired.
Yeah.
And,
Jack was not one to toot his horn. You know what I mean? He was not one who put him, "Oh, I'm the greatest," or, I'll get out there. He just wouldn't promote himself. A lot of times he would be on a national television show and we had a book or something. I said, "Jack, you should have said this. You should have done that." He was promoting his exercise and nutrition because he believed that exercise is king, nutrition's queen, put them together and you got a kingdom. So there you go. I mean, that says it all. And he coined that phrase and all his Elainisms,
I know all the quotes that I live by. And so now what would be your favorite, if you have a favorite, Jack LaLanne quote?
That one is, but he's got so many quotes. Let's see. Haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. I keep saying exercise is king, nutrition's queen.
They are.
What's the quote that you remember?
I do the best I can with the equipment I have.
Oh, I do the best I can with the equipment.
that.
That's my favorite.
That's his favorite. That's Dan, my son's favorite.
I love it. Thank you, Dan. I think my favorite is probably when he spoke about the best investment you could make, or how was that? Now I can't think of the quote, but it was something along the lines of like, basically what you put in, you can take out. You're like,
Oh yeah. Your bank account and your bank account and your health account are synonymous. The more you put in, the more you can take out.
yes,
How we
that's
say
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, Lala, while we wrap this up, quick round. What's your favorite exercise?
Knees to chest. Knees to
Okay,
chest.
let's do it. Let's do a little knees to chest.
Well, I don't know that you can see me do it, but
We can see.
but this chair moves around, so I can't. It's got rollers on it, so
Yeah, mine does too.
I have that's one thing I want everybody to think about their core, because I have a very strong core. I can still do, my legs may not be going as fast, but my core is very, very strong.
Right.
And I can do jackknives still. And all that.
Wow. Wow. Lala, for anyone that's listening and watching right now, I am sure that you have inspired every single person. You are truly, I am so blessed that somehow, some way I have, had the honor and privilege to know you, to meet you, to love you. And I am so thankful for you. So Lala, thank you so much for being on today. I can't wait to actually hug you in real life. Can we move to that point of the phase of this world right now? So on that note, Lala, I'll be sure to share your website, your book. So everyone, please take a look, get her book. You will be.
This is your book, and I've already signed it.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, Lala, thank you so very much. Sending all of my love to you, to your family.
Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.